Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to
be going to Paris, France in 1858. This is the opera game between Paul Morphy and the Duke of Brunswick and the Count. This is a classic beginner's game that shows how the pieces can become very active, and it shows the importance of piece activity. So here we have e4, the king's pawn, best by test, e5, knight f3, d6, the Philidor's defense.
and another thing that we'll learn in this opening is why it's important to develop our pieces and castle our king. So let's continue with the game.
So d6 is already a little bit inaccurate, but it's not a bad move. It's not like you're completely lost. So d4, because usually knight c6 is played here, and it develops a piece, and d6 blocks this bishop from coming out to its favorite square on c5. So that's why this is not played a lot, but it's playable. So you have d6.
And you want your pieces to be like open into good squares. That's what you want to try to do.
And we have d4, this nice pawn break from Paul Morphy, breaking open the position. Now here, their move was a bit inaccurate. They played bishop g4, which is today considered to be an inferior move. And usually you'll see like takes on d4 and something like this. So they played bishop g4, and now he took. So you can't take back because they understood that they would just lose a pawn and have a lost position. So they took away this knight, which was going to recapture back here. But now Paul Morphy has like more development here with the queen.
So it's not always, sometimes it might not be good to get your queen out because there's so many pieces that can attack the queen, but your queen is good.
Yeah,
So
because there's no pieces that can really attack it, and it's nice and central. So he plays bishop c4 next. He doesn't think that he's gonna get checkmate, like they're gonna play h6 and queen f7 is gonna happen. So it's just like it's a good move. And he also has this plan that they played knight f6, stopping this mate. And now he plays queen to b3, a very strong move. Do you know why it's very strong? Pause the video
and try to find it out and come back when you think you have an answer. So now let's go on with the game.
So we had queen b3. So this is double attacking b7 and f7.
We're creating two threats. And in chess, you want to look for checks, captures, and threats.
Yeah, so here Paul Morphy could have taken this pawn on b7, but he didn't want to because he saw that there was queen b4, and he wanted to end the game quickly because he wanted to watch the opera. So that's why this game was called the opera game, because it took place at an opera. And that's why he didn't take here. He played.
And also, when you see a good move, then try to look for a better one.
Yeah, so he just played knight c3, developing this knight. Maybe sometimes in the future going to d5. So we had c6. So what's the purpose of
also, we see that the knight is better in the center. If it was developed to the side, it won't be that strong. And in openings, the knights are usually good in the center.
Yeah, so c6 has a lot of purposes. So it guards b7, And it controls d5 and b5.
So it guards that square because when you push the pawn, the queen was open to defend that square.
So he played bishop to g5, getting another piece out. All these pieces are nicely coordinated.
And it's important to try to coordinate your pieces like white did in this position.
The bishop on f8 is not ideal. It doesn't have anywhere to go because of this queen on e7, which is blockading it. This bishop wants to be on like some c5 square or maybe g7. And these rooks, they're not connected. And white is getting ready to maybe castle and we'll have a lead in development.
So see how it's important where your pieces are placed because they can help in the attack. Like all these white pieces are part of the game.
Okay, so they played b5 here, which isn't a good move. So usually you want to develop your pieces. Pause their video to find out the series of moves Paul Morphy found.
So now let's continue and
Knight takes b5, exclaim. So they take, they're like, okay, thanks for the piece.
so they sacrifice, but they hope to make it to an even winning position. To an even better position.
So we had knight to d7, developing and blocking the check. Okay, so I'll say an example of some move. It's not what he played, but okay, what happens if we play... Okay, so what happens if we play this? It's similar to the move he played, but there's a flaw with this move. Queen to b4 check.
So we see how the queen is offended by the bishop. We can't get the queen for free.
Yeah, and this is like not as good. So Paul Morphy didn't want to do that. He also wanted to get his king over here.
He wanted to get the king safe and also putting even more pressure on the pin piece.
Yeah, there's a lot of pinned pieces here. This knight on f6 is pinned. And so there's...
So why is it pinned? Why is the knight pinned? What happens if we move the knight? Just to show.
So this isn't what we call an absolute pin, but so say we take this queen is loose, so we can just take it. And
So
this
can
is
we move? It's absolute. We can't move it because
yeah. So if I try to play knight to c5, the computer won't let me because the king is pinned. So there's all these pins here.
then the king will be in check and that'll be illegal.
Yeah, and these bishops are like very strong, showing the power of the bishop pair. So we had rook to d8. It looks like black is doing good.
And you can see how like all the pieces, the black pieces are like tied up to defending something.
Yeah, pause the video to find out what he played.
So now let's come back and continue.
Okay, so he played rook takes d7. Wow. So, first of all, we know that we can't take with the knight because the queen is...
Would be loose.
Yeah, and the knight's pinned here. So, what happens if we take the rook, which is what he did? We had rook to d1, putting pressure on the pin piece. See how he's not taking it immediately, but he's building up the pressure gradually. You had queen e6.
And this is all part of White's plan. White's coordinating their pieces, they're getting their rook, and so let's see what happens next.
Okay, so here's the point of rook d1. Now, White can take. This knight is no longer pinned because of this queen e6. So the knight took, but this was a blunder, and the queen should have taken. This was like still a losing position, but it would have delayed it a little bit longer. So pause the video to find out the maiden two here.
So first, you said that it was a blunder, so can you tell us why?
It's because of this queen sack. So the king has no moves, and you have to take it. And this is called the opera mate. The rook on d8 supported like this.
And we see how pieces can help each other in the checkmate.
Yeah, so we see how he was like using all his pieces and using many themes here. Like,
And White was okay to sacrifice because they know that it would be better for them.
you can see like some of the themes here. This king, it was always in the center.
Yeah.
It never moved. It was
It's
very
important
weak.
to learn the opening basics, and we can learn about the opening basics in this game.
Yeah. White has a lot more space, and these pieces kind of like corner the king. This rook isn't doing anything, so it doesn't really matter that black is up a pawn because of all this compensation. So white's really crushing here.
So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to others. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye!
Bye.